Hi, this is Chris Hadfield here. Hello, everybody. Just joining in on my other computer screen. I have the Soyuz launch. I'm watching it. I'm watching on NASA television right now. I don't know if you're watching, but they're looking inside a Soyuz, so you can see what they look like. Hello, everybody. Hello, Nashville. Hello, Oshawa. Hello, Boston. Over in the UK. Hello, everybody. Pretty cool. So, hello, Dublin. Nice to hear from you. So inside the Soyuz right now is Peggy Whitson, who I've known forever, and Oleg Novitsky, that I flew in space with, and Thomas Paquette from France, so I've known since the day we was hired. Hello, Stockholm. Hello, Vancouver. Hello, Labrador. Are you in Happy Valley? Where are you today? Hello, Wales as well. Dubai. Wow. Other side of the world. Nice to see you. Nice to see everyone. Durham, North Carolina. Scotland. Hello, everyone. Wow. Uruguay. Hello from Uruguay. Nice to see everybody. Gosh. Yeah, we take a lot of photography classes. Let me turn this down just a little. So in order to fly on my 3 space flights, I studied still photography, video photography, movie photography. I helped make 2 IMAX movies. I studied on Linhof, Aeroflex, standard SLR, Hasselblad, all those cameras. Dundee. Hello, Dundee. Astronauts study a lot of things, but yeah, of course, we want to take good pictures. So yeah, we have good photographic instructors that do a nice job, and plus we study with some really good professional photographers as well, portrait makers and such like that. You got to fly an L-39. That's cool. It's a nice airplane. I've flown a lot of airplanes that are a similar class to the L-39. It's a good little 2-seat trainer. It leads you into being able to fly complex jets. So yeah, a lot of good training in L-39. I've flown a T-2, which is similar, A-37, which is similar, a Tudor, which is similar. Hello from Richmond Hill. So right now on the screen we have Peggy Whitson. Amazing. She grew up on a farm, just like me, on a farm in Iowa. Really, and a biochemist. Amazing woman. She's going to go command the space station. I got huge respect for Peggy. She was the chief astronaut for the United States, for NASA. And such a class act, and so good at her job. Serious, fun, good company. Such a good scientist, such a good astronaut. Good company. She's a good cook. She's good at a party. Peggy's. They're just playing a tape from her right now. Okay, what other? My favorite jet besides the F-18, F-86 Sabre. Great airplane to fly. It's like having wings on your back. Yeah, pretty amazing. SpaceX, did you all read that announcement that Elon just made, or at least was disclosed through the filings that SpaceX made? They want to launch a constellation of satellites to give the whole world internet. Let me say that again. Launch a constellation of satellites, like thousands of satellites, so that everywhere in the world you could hold up your cell phone and get wireless everywhere in the whole world. Pretty ambitious thing. The number is like 4,000 or 5,000 satellites. We'll see what they really do, but that's a pretty big step. And they've been working at it hard and spending a lot of money. Would I rather fly as a Soyuz or a Dragon 2? Either one. They're both great spaceships. Soyuz is, of course, super proven. Dragon 2 hasn't flown yet, but I'm a fighter pilot, test pilot. I would love to fly a new vehicle like the Dragon 2. Pretty impressive capability. Hasn't flown yet. Okay, let's see. Mars colonization. We're a long way from Mars colonization. We got a lot of stuff to invent first. It takes a while to invent things and then build them and then test them so that you can trust them. That's what we're doing on the space station. But eventually we'll get there. It's a natural progression. But I think it's great that Elon's kind of challenged everybody, saying this is where we're going. And here's a deadline, because nothing sharpens the senses like a deadline. Whether they'll make it or not, I don't know. But it's harder than everybody thinks. But he's done some pretty hard things already. Pretty amazing. I don't know anybody works harder than Elon Musk. Have I seen extraterrestrial life? No, nobody has. We're looking. And I think they just announced today that we know there are oceans under the surface of Pluto. We think Earth, if you count up which planets and moons have the most water in the solar system, we're like 7th or 8th. Water and heat is where life occurs on Earth. But there's more water and heat across the solar system than we ever imagined. So maybe there's extraterrestrial life in our solar system. We don't know yet. We're looking, but we have not seen any yet. And, you know, and everybody says, "Oh, well, you couldn't tell me." Yeah, I could tell you. I mean, who's going to stop me from telling you? I'm just a private citizen, but I mean, it's fun to fantasize about in science fiction and all that. And there's lots of things we don't understand, but we haven't seen any yet. We're looking. Привет из Москвы. Добрый вечер, Москва. Добрый вечер. Вы знаете, я жил в звездном городке, и я был несколько раз в Казахстане тоже, на площадь Старте. Да, ну, всего доброго. Добрый вечер. Did I ever go skydiving? No, I've never skydived. However, I did train. Skydiving, of course, falling is the easy part. The two hard parts in skydiving are getting the nerve to go, to jump, and then landing. The rest of it is not really the dangerous part. And so I trained on landing. And so I've been towed up behind a truck and towed up behind a boat and various things and on various machines so that I learned how to properly land if I ever did have to parachute so I wouldn't hurt myself. But I've never just gone skydiving. I'm not saying I never will, I just haven't done it yet. What's my favorite memory from being on the space station? Actually, 21 years ago this week, I was on board the Russian space station. My first space flight, I'm having an anniversary right now, was on Mir. And so that space station was pretty cool. And then I helped build the international station, and then I lived up there for 5 months, just like Peggy and Oleg and Tamar are about to. My favorite memory, it's got to be spacewalking. That is the coolest thing ever. You know, going outside alone. Being out alone in the universe. And Peggy's talking there on the NASA stream. She's done lots of spacewalks. It's hard, physically tough, hugely unforgiving, but so much fun. Yeah, I would love to go and snowmobiling with you in Sweden. Thanks for the invitation. We just got to organize it up. How far away are we from lunch? We're 8 minutes away. All right. Hey, Vaughn, how are you? Hello. Let's see. Yeah, whoever read that from New York City, that was one of those false news articles. You know, read just because somebody types something doesn't mean it's true. You know, so think when you read. Try and apply a common sense test to what you read. Let's see. So should we go to the moon next? Yeah, I think so. Because the thing to remember is, when you're doing something for the first time, you make mistakes. You got to. That's how we learn, right? You get stuff wrong, and once you've done it 100 times, then you get pretty good at it. But when you're doing it for the first time, you get it wrong quite often. It's true in watch a little one learning to walk, or watch someone learning to ride a bike, or play guitar, or whatever. You get it wrong at first. So space flight is no different, and we're going to get it wrong. And if you try and go like if we went, let's go to Pluto, we'd kill everybody every time. We just don't know what we don't know. And so on the space station, we've come close to killing ourselves several times, and we have killed some shuttle crews. But it's still close enough that we've been pretty successful. The moon's only 3 days away, and all the stuff we have to learn and invent, it'd be nice to learn those lessons only 3 days away, so you have a chance of coming back. Because once you turn your nose to Mars and fire the engines, you can't turn around. We don't have enough fuel with our current engine technology to get going fast enough to go to Mars and go, whoops, we got a problem, and turn around and slow down and stop and come back. You're committed for a year. And there's a lot of stuff can go wrong in a year. So I think we'll go from the space station, where we'll be for the next 15 years or so, to the moon, and then eventually further. Asteroids, Mars. We'll get there. Let's see. How long until we have a permanent base on the moon? I don't know. I'm no good at predicting the future. Space station up another 15 years. Probably take 10 years to put a base on the moon. So maybe 25 years. I don't know. We'll see. Depends. How long did it take to put a permanent base in Antarctica? It's not a bad parallel. Will President Trump be good for NASA? I have no idea. I haven't heard him say anything concrete about space, so I don't know. I didn't know what either of the candidates were going to do. Neither of them were very committal about it, so we'll see. The real key question, who's going to be the administrator of NASA? I think Charlie Bolden's going to step down. Who's going to take over and be the new head of NASA? And it could be great. I have no idea. We'll see. It was way down the list of election issues. I would have loved it to be up higher, but I just haven't heard anybody say anything about it. Should I choose biology or an art degree? Well, both. Do the one first that's more interesting to you. Any advice on an aspiring student wanting to work at the CSA or at any of the space agencies? Yeah. How far are we from launch? We're 5 minutes. Let me just listen. It's pretty interesting. Let's talk about spaceflight for a sec. It's a pretty interesting time on board the spaceship. Oh, there's Peggy, or no. There's Oleg and Toma. It's a pretty interesting time. You can see they've got their knees pulled up to their chest.
As we come up on 4.5 minutes away from launch, getting a view inside of the
Oleg is holding on to his little pointer. Ezekiel, his little pointer, his arm extender, and he's got his checklist, and the suits are completely sealed. The helmets are closed just in case the ship has a leak during launch so that the crew doesn't die. It's very uncomfortable, but it's also custom built. The seat's poured for you. And they're very focused right now. There's a million things can go wrong. The ship can start blowing up right on the pad, and they'll still be able to save themselves. And all the way up during launch, there's all these little thresholds they're going to go to they can save themselves. Yeah, Tim Peake did give you a wave. I think most of the astronauts give a wave. I'm sure Thomas will be giving a little wave to everybody en France. Am I on the media or public feed? No, I'm just on Periscope. Better go to the toilet first? You are correct. Part of your pre-flight check in space flight is thoroughly go to the toilet. Actually, you have an enema before launch. Not one, but two. 2 enemas before launch, just so that your body's completely flushed out, so that you don't have to worry about that as part of your space flight. Hello to your son, Connor. Hi, Connor. I love space too. Is there any contact with Earth when you're there? Can you tweet from space? Everybody else tell that person to answer that question. Yeah, you can tweet from space. Yeah, you sure can. Now, maybe you meant from the Soyuz. No, you cannot from the Soyuz. From the Soyuz, you can only talk on the Soyuz radio, and it just talks to mission control. But they'll get to the station pretty quickly, and then they'll be able to communicate from there. So they're pressurizing up all of the fuel tanks on board to be able to push the fuel down into the motors. Yes, we still wee on the bus wheel on the way out for luck. Yeah, even Peggy.
The Soyuz running off of liquid oxygen.
Hello, Russia. Привет, Россия.
Also known, it's essentially rocket fuel. It's a highly refined form of kerosene, delivering the thrust to the first stage.
Getting close to launch.
Those 4 liquid strap-on boosters. 2 minutes and counting.
What would I have done if I hadn't been an astronaut? I started out as a farmer, and then I became a ski instructor. I used to be a ski racer, and then I went to universities and became an engineer, and then mechanical, and then aerospace, and then I joined the Air Force. I was a pilot and became a fighter pilot, and then I became a test pilot. And so if I hadn't been an astronaut, my plan was to go back and get a PhD and be a professor at one of the universities that has flying programs. So I could have been a test pilot professor. But I actually teach at the University of Waterloo now, and they have an aviation program, so I do some of that now. Or I could have been an airline pilot, or stayed in the military longer, or been a professional test pilot outside of the military. I love being a test pilot. The combination of technical and figuring out how to do it and making airplanes fly better and safer was really interesting. What do you do with obsolete technology and used experiments?
1 minute and counting.
We send them back to Earth. We put them in one of the return vehicles. Okay, 1 minute away, everybody. Let's pay attention.
You'll see 2 different arms, possibly only one, because the other looks like it's behind.
I hope everybody's watching.
Arm, the first umbilical tower will separate at about T-minus 35.
Okay, we can see the umbilicals pulling back right now. Inside, those guys have their checklists open. They are super focused on every little step here. If anything goes wrong, you'll see their little capsule get plucked off by the rescue rocket, that little tower sticking out the very top. But touch wood, everything will go all right. So they've started the spoosk here. They've started the sequence of the engines beginning to fire. You can see them.
The engines igniting. The launch command issued.
Pusk. It's a great word. Pusk. Launch. All right. Rocket's moving. We got more thrust than weight. All right. Everything good so far. Come on, guys. Nominal's a great word. It's funny, there's so many things that go into the word nominal. You know, we just, on NASA TV, it's not hard to find. NASA TV, if you want to watch it. It's such a fun ride. The vehicle, it's getting lighter, so much faster. You got the same amount of force out the back. F equals ma. Your m's dropping, the F is staying the same, so your A is going up. You're getting accelerated, and you can feel it. Squishes you down into your chair. And for Thomas, this is his first flight into space. Peggy's done this several times. Oleg's second flight. But for Thomas, this is a hugely exciting moment. All right, so far so good. Look at it there as it gets up into the change in the atmosphere. You can see it. And it looks like a nice clear night. So hopefully we'll be able to actually see the separation of the first stage solids as they, or the first stage boosters as they come tumbling off.
The flight velocity of the Soyuz now over 1,100 miles per hour.
They're already going 1,100 miles an hour. I flew in space 3 times, space shuttle twice, and I was the left seater, sort of like the co-pilot of the Soyuz once. It takes an entire lifetime of work to get to a point where someone will say everything's nominal. It's a great feeling. Look at that flame, the power of that thing. Our ability to control that amount of energy and focus it and do something purposeful. Okay, so the engines are staging close here. Watch. Maybe we'll see the staging.
All performance calls with the
there we go.
Booster continuing to look great. Soyuz continuing to fly straight and true.
Look at them tumbling away.
There you see the 4 strap-ons breaking away.
How cool is that? What was I in the shuttle? I'm not sure what that means. I was flight crew, a mission specialist 1, one of the 4 people on the flight deck for both of my flights. And I did spacewalks and various things. Understatement, I guess. After how many orbits do you want to stretch your legs? Immediately you want to stretch your legs. Okay, they're about to send us camera images of them. You get to a point where you turn the camera on. And Oleg will reach up with his long pointer or Thomas and push the little selection. It's like on each side, like like A3 or whatever like that. You select it, and then it'll activate, and we'll be able to see inside the cockpit here pretty soon.
Soyuz now exposed to the air and soon to space. Rocket at an altitude about 48 miles.
They're already 50 miles up. There we go. There's Peggy. Hey, Peggy and Oleg. Thank you for waving, Peg. Good to see you. A lifetime of work for Peggy. I've flown lots of jets with Peggy and been all over the world with her. She was one of my tent mates when we did desert survival together. Peggy's just a rock-solid human being. So good and competent. They keep the camera off the start? No, it's because there's shrouds around the vehicle, I think. Once we've jettisoned all the shrouds, the antennas are exposed. Does it bring back memories? No, it's my whole life. Oh, a nice graphic here. Will I fly again in space? I don't think so. I've flown 3 times. I've been pretty lucky. For a Canadian, it's crazy lucky. Huge amount of work, but... Hey, if you're going to type liar, it would be really good if you learned how to spell it. Oh, lovely. People are funny. Привет. How are you doing? Okay, so it's almost fast enough and high enough now. It's going to stage. The first whole rocket has used just about all of its fuel now. And it's a pretty cool ride. You're crushed in your seat, and then as it stages, you float forward, and then you get crushed back in your chair again. It's pretty significant. It's about to happen. You can see it up on the ascent profile in the lower left there. Maybe we'll be able to see them stage here as we watch. Pretty soon is going to go up and swap cameras so that we can see Thomas as well. Here we go. There's separation. Now, did the next engine light?
Third stage, engine activation. We copy.
Getting confirmation the second stage has dropped away, separated at
Just
a
waiting to hear.
altitude of about 105
It's really
miles.
important.
Soyuz now being propelled by the single engine of the third stage, providing 67,000 pounds.
Okay, sounds like everything's good. That's a really critical phase. We've lost a vehicle right there. And that's one of the big ones we practice for right there. So that's a good news. That's great.
Until about 8 minutes.
Someone asked if I was a skeptic about
The
UFOs.
Soyuz will separate and be in its preliminary orbit.
I mean, there's virtually an infinite number of stars in the universe. The number is so big, like septillion. It approaches our ability of the concept, our ability to conceive what infinite means. So if there's an infinite number of chances, oh, there we go. There's Thomas. Hello, Thomas. Bonjour, monsieur. Comment allez-vous? Vous avez beaucoup de travail à faire. Absolument. He's reading the step and he's looking ahead to what's going to happen at engine cutoff right now, because he is the guy that if there's an emergency, as the engines shut off, he has to manually separate from the rocket or things go really badly. So it's something he's practiced a lot. Anyway, I was saying there's basically an infinite number of stars that we know of in galaxies, and our recent discoveries have shown there's planets around pretty much every star. So therefore, you can extrapolate probably there's an infinite number of planets, basically. So the odds are pretty high that there's going to be life somewhere. I mean, there's life here. How could we think we're the only one? But we haven't found any evidence yet. So it's not a matter of being a skeptic. What's that mean? That just means you haven't done any research. The real question is there life or not? And we're looking. That's the end of the question. It's not an imagining thing. It's just looking. And that's why we're exploring. That's why these three people are risking their lives right now.
20 seconds. Roll, engine yaw are all nominal.
Yeah, there are lots of people from all over the place. I wish I spoke some of those other languages. Ich habe alles vergessen. All right. He's up there making the selections. That's Oleg reaching with his little extender. You can see it's got that little clip on it. It's like it folds and gets shorter if he needs. And those suits are pretty comfortable right now. But if they popped a hole in the Soyuz, if the Soyuz started leaking the air, then of course their suits would inflate. And then it becomes... So another 2 minutes, or a minute and a half. Your suits inflate, and then it becomes really uncomfortable, especially under your knees. As your suit, it's like if you twist a balloon, you know how stiff a balloon can get. Then your clothes do that as well.
The Soyuz to orbit, the modules separated. Those pre-programmed commands will be executed, preparing the Soyuz for orbital operation.
And you'll watch. We may be able to see Thomas there. Thomas just lifted the lid on the. You see him lifting the lid on the little emergency thing there. And that's in order to separate the spaceship from the rocket when they hit the final minute. But as soon as he'll be looking for all these different indications to show for sure that the spaceship has popped off the rocket, that he doesn't have to manually do those things. It's looking good so far. You're welcome for playing with Ed Robertson live from space. That was cool. Yeah, I did a concert in Kitchener last night. It was fun at the center in the square. Like a full house. It was great. Almost 2,000 people there. It was so much fun. I sang a lot of songs I wrote up on the space station and did a tribute to there.
And seeing the telltale jolt there, that means the third stage.
All right, you see Thomas just reached over and closed that little lid because they separated from the rocket. They got the bump. They got the digital indication, so he did not have to manually separate. They are now weightless in space. And you can see, if you look carefully, you can see little stuff floating around inside the cockpit. Success! A good launch. Молодец. Félicitations. And now what Thomas is doing is isolating the environmental control system, basically shutting all the valves that allow oxygen to flow into the cabin, so that they can do a pressure check now. They got to make sure there's no leaks. Sorry, the Calgary show is sold out. Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to being there. I'll be back, but it's nice that it's sold out. But I'm sorry, there's no more seats. Anyway, so Oleg's doing a bunch of stuff now. Spasiba vam. С удовольствием. All right, they're shutting off. That's what a launch looks like. Nice to chat with everybody. Thanks for joining in. I am so happy to see Oleg and Thomas and Peggy, the three of them, on the way up to the spaceship. And it'll be nice to see them dock here in a little while and join the crew up on the space station. Oh, and remember, the 2 Chinese astronauts are coming back to Earth tomorrow. They've already undocked from their space station. They've been up there for a month, and they're coming back to Earth tomorrow. So a pretty busy place, Central Station up on orbit. Anyway, thank you. Всего доброго. C'était un plaisir pour tout le monde, and we'll talk to you all later. Thanks, Periscope, for making communication so great.